A group of casino dealers just broke their NDAs to expose which table games have the worst odds on the casino floor. What these insiders are revealing about the mathematics and psychology behind these 8 games could save you thousands of dollars. And the casino industry is furious this information is getting out. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how these games are designed to drain your bankroll and why the friendly dealers and exciting atmosphere are all part of a calculated system to separate you from your money. Let's start with game number 8 on our list. Let It Ride is a poker-based game created by Shufflemaster, and it's been a casino staple since the 1990s. The game seems simple enough. You make 3 equal bets, get dealt cards, and can pull back 2 of your bets if you don't like your hand. It sounds like you have control and can minimize losses. But dealers who work this game for years reveal that Let It Ride has a house edge of approximately 3.5%, which is significantly worse than blackjack or baccarat. What makes this particularly problematic is how the game creates an illusion of control. You're making decisions about whether to pull back your bets, which makes your brain think you're influencing the outcome. But mathematically, even with perfect strategy, you're fighting against terrible odds. The game is structured so that winning hands are rare enough that most players lose all 3 bets far more often than they win. Dealers report that the bonus bet is where the real money drain happens. Most Let It Ride tables offer a $1 side bet that pays if you get a strong poker hand. The payouts look attractive. A royal flush might pay 20,000 to 1. Players see that number and think they're getting value. But the side bet has a house edge around 25%. That means for every dollar you bet on the bonus, the casino is keeping 25 cents on average. It's one of the worst bets in the entire casino, yet dealers observe that about 80% of players make it every single hand. One dealer who worked Let It Ride for 5 years shared a story about a regular player named Tom. Tom was a retired engineer who loved poker and thought he could use logic and math to beat Let It Ride. He studied strategy charts and played what he believed was optimal strategy every session. Tom played twice a week for about 3 years. The dealer estimated that Tom was betting around $25 per hand on the main game plus the $1 bonus bet. Over 3 years of twice-weekly sessions, Tom probably put close to $200,000 through that game. Based on the house edge and his betting patterns, the dealer calculated that Tom likely lost somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000 over those 3 years. But Tom kept coming back because he'd occasionally hit a strong hand and win a few $100s. Those wins convinced him his strategy was working. What really bothered this dealer was watching Tom play the bonus bet every single hand. That $1 side bet was probably responsible for nearly half of his total losses. When the dealer eventually moved to a different game and lost touch with Tom, he wondered if Tom ever figured out how much money he'd actually lost. Dealers specifically warn that Let It Ride combines bad base game odds with one of the worst side bets in the casino. The illusion of control from pulling bets back makes players think they're playing skillfully, but the math is always working against them. Casino War might be the simplest game on the casino floor. You and the dealer each get 1 card. Highest card wins. It's literally the children's card game War turned into a casino game. And that simplicity is exactly what makes it dangerous. Dealers reveal that Casino War has a house edge around 2.9% on the main bet, which isn't the worst on this list. But what makes this game particularly problematic is how it's designed to appeal to inexperienced gamblers who don't know any better. The game requires 0 skill and 0 knowledge. Anyone can sit down and immediately understand how to play. Dealers observe that Casino War attracts a lot of first-time casino visitors and people who are intimidated by more complex games. these are exactly the players who can least afford to lose money, and they're being funneled into a game with a nearly 3% house edge that plays extremely fast. A dealer can deal 60 to 80 hands per hour at Casino War, which means players are exposing their bankroll to the house edge more frequently than almost any other table game. But the real problem is the tie bet. When you and the dealer tie, you have two options: surrender and lose half your bet, or go to war by doubling your wager. If you go to war and win, you only get paid even money on the additional bet. Your original bet pushes. Most players don't understand this structure. They think going to war gives them a chance to win double, but the payout structure means you're actually getting worse odds than you realize. And the tie bet itself, which some tables offer as a side bet, has a house edge around 18%. It's catastrophically bad. One dealer shared a story about a young couple who came to the casino to celebrate their anniversary. They didn't know how to play any table games, so they sat down at Casino War because it looked simple and fun. The dealer watched them play for about 2 hours, betting $20 per hand. The couple went to war on every tie, thinking it was the brave and exciting choice. They made the tie side bet occasionally when they felt lucky. After 2 hours, the dealer estimated they'd lost around $600, but they were laughing and having fun the whole time, completely unaware that they'd just paid $600 for 2 hours of flipping cards. What bothered the dealer most was that the couple seemed to think Casino War was a fair game because it was so simple. They didn't realize that simplicity doesn't equal fairness. The house edge was grinding away at their bankroll just as effectively as any complex game. Dealers warn against Casino War because it preys on inexperienced players who think they're playing something harmless and fun. The fast pace of play combined with poor odds and terrible side bets makes it a money drain that's disguised as a simple, friendly game. Three-card poker has become one of the most popular table games in casinos over the past 2 decades. It's faster than regular poker, simpler to understand, and has exciting bonus payouts. But dealers who have worked this game extensively warn that it's designed to extract maximum money through multiple betting opportunities. The game has 3 different bets: ante, play, and pair plus. You can make any combination of these bets, which seems like it gives you options. But what dealers reveal is that each bet has its own house edge, and making multiple bets means you're exposing more money to the casino's advantage. The ante and play bets combined have a house edge around 3.4% with optimal strategy. That's already not great, but most players don't play optimal strategy. Dealers observe that the majority of recreational players make significant strategic errors, probably pushing their effective house edge up to 4% or higher. The pair plus bet is where things get really problematic. This is a side bet that pays if you're dealt a pair or better. The payouts look attractive. A straight flush pays 40 to 1, 3 of a kind pays 30 to 1, and so on. Players see these payouts and think they're getting value, but the pair plus bet has a house edge around 7.3%. That's more than double the main game. Yet dealers estimate that 70% to 80% of players make the pair plus bet on every hand. They're voluntarily exposing additional money to a bet with terrible odds because the payout table looks exciting. One dealer who worked 3-card poker for 7 years talked about a businessman who played every Friday night after work. He'd sit down with $500 and bet $25 on ante and $25 on pair plus every single hand. This went on for about 4 years, every Friday night, like clockwork. The dealer estimated this player was betting around $2,000 per session in total handle. That's 100 hands at $50 total per hand across both bets. Over 4 years, This businessman probably put close to $400,000 through three-card poker. Based on the house edge of his betting pattern, he likely lost somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 during that time. The dealer remembered this player because he always seemed happy and relaxed. He'd chat with other players, joke with the dealers, and treat the whole experience as entertainment. But $25,000 is a lot of money for entertainment, and the dealer wasn't sure the businessman fully understood his total losses. What troubled the dealer most was watching this intelligent professional make the pair plus bet every single hand. That side bet was probably responsible for more than half his losses. If he'd just played ante and play with good strategy, his losses would have been dramatically smaller. Dealers warn that three-card poker is designed to look fun and simple while encouraging multiple simultaneous bets that multiply your exposure to the house edge. The pair plus bet in particular is a trap that significantly increases your expected losses while creating the illusion of value through big payout numbers. Caribbean Stud Poker was one of the first successful proprietary table games, and it's still found in many casinos today. The game lets you play poker against the dealer with your own hand, which appeals to poker players who want to test their hand without competing against other players. But dealers reveal that Caribbean Stud has one of the highest house edges of any popular table game at around 5.2%. That's extremely high. For comparison, basic strategy blackjack has a house edge under 1%. You're giving up 5 times more edge at Caribbean Stud. What makes this particularly deceptive is that the game feels like poker. Players think their poker knowledge gives them an edge. But Caribbean Stud is purely a mathematical game with a fixed strategy. There's almost no decision-making involved. You either have a qualifying hand or you don't. The game structure is designed to create big swings. You lose your ante-bet frequently because the dealer doesn't qualify. Then, occasionally, you win a big pot when you have a strong hand and the dealer qualifies. These big wins create powerful memories that override the steady losses. But the real trap is the progressive jackpot side bet. Nearly every Caribbean Stud table has a $1 progressive side bet that pays if you hit a royal flush or other strong hands. The royal flush typically pays the progressive jackpot, which can be $50,000 or more. Players see that massive number and make the side bet every hand. But the side bet has a house edge around 26%, making it one of the absolute worst bets in the casino. You're paying $1 per hand for an incredibly unlikely chance at a jackpot you'll almost certainly never hit. One dealer worked Caribbean Stud for 6 years and saw the progressive jackpot hit exactly 3 times. Meanwhile, thousands and thousands of players were pumping dollar after dollar into that side bet every single day. The math is brutally unfavorable. This dealer shared a story about a woman named Patricia who played Caribbean Stud every weekend for nearly 5 years. She'd sit at the table for 4 to 6 hour sessions, betting $15 on the ante plus the $1 progressive side bet. Patricia loved the game because she understood poker hands and enjoyed the competition of playing against the dealer. She hit a full house occasionally and would win a few $100s. These wins kept her coming back. Over 5 years of weekend play, the dealer estimated Patricia put around $150,000 through the game. Based on the house edge of the main game plus the progressive side bet, she probably lost somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000 total. The progressive side bet alone probably cost Patricia around $6,000 over those 5 years. That's $6,000 spent chasing a jackpot she never hit and statistically would almost never hit even if she played for 20 more years. What bothered the dealer was that Patricia seemed to think she was playing skillfully. She'd talk about her poker knowledge and her strategy. But there's essentially no strategy in Caribbean Stud beyond the basic decision of fold or play. Her poker knowledge was irrelevant, and the house edge was grinding away at her bankroll the entire time. Dealers warn that Caribbean Stud combines a high base game house edge with one of the worst side bets in the casino. The poker theme attracts players who think their card knowledge matters, but the game is purely mathematical, and the math is heavily against you. Pai Gow Poker seems like a safe, relaxing game. It plays slowly, you push frequently, and the atmosphere is usually friendly and low pressure. Many players view it as a way to gamble for a long time without losing much money. But dealers warn that this perception makes Pai Gow Poker more dangerous than it appears. The game has a house edge around 2.5% when you include the 5% commission on wins. That's not terrible compared to some games on this list. But what dealers reveal is that the slow pace and frequent pushes create a false sense of security that keeps players at the table longer than they realize. A typical Pai Gow poker session might last 4 or 5 hours. You're playing slowly, pushing 40% of hands, having conversations with other players and the dealer. It feels like you're barely gambling, but you're still exposing your bankroll to the house edge hand after hand, hour after hour. Dealers observe that many Pai Gow players start with a modest bankroll of maybe $300 or $400, planning to play for a couple hours. Then, they end up staying for 6 or 7 hours because the game is so slow and social. By the time they leave, that slow house edge has done significant damage. The 5% commission is particularly insidious. Most players don't think about it much because it only applies when you win. But it's a steady drain that adds up over hundreds of hands. If you play for 5 hours and win 30 hands at $25 each, you've paid $37.50 in commissions alone. One dealer worked Pai Gow Poker for 8 years and talked about a retired couple who played together twice a week. They'd sit down at 2 p.m. and play until 6 or 7 p.m., betting $25 per hand. They viewed it as their entertainment and social time. This went on for about 6 years. The dealer became friendly with them and looked forward to their visits. They were kind people who treated the dealers well and seemed to genuinely enjoy the experience. But the dealer also had access to player tracking data and could see their results. Over 6 years of twice-weekly sessions at about 5 hours per session, this couple probably played around 15,000 hands of Pai Gow Poker. Based on their betting level and the house edge, the dealer estimated they'd lost somewhere between $18,000 and $22,000 during that time. That's roughly $300 to $500 per year for what they considered casual entertainment. What troubled the dealer was that the couple seemed to think they were breaking even or losing only a little bit. The slow pace and frequent pushes masked the steady accumulation of losses. They'd occasionally have a winning session and think they were doing fine overall. The dealer never had the heart to tell them the truth. These were nice people who could afford the losses and seemed happy. But watching them slowly lose $20,000 over 6 years while thinking they were barely gambling bothered the dealer more than watching high rollers lose much larger sums. Dealers warn that Pai Gow Poker's slow pace and friendly atmosphere are precisely what make it dangerous. You stay longer than you intend, you don't notice the losses accumulating, and the 5% commission quietly drains your bankroll hand after hand. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts. Roulette is one of the most iconic casino games in the world. The spinning wheel, the bouncing ball, the excitement when your number hits. It feels glamorous and sophisticated. But dealers reveal that American roulette, with both a 0 and double 0, is one of the worst bets on the casino floor. The house edge on American roulette is 5.26% on almost every bet. That's significantly higher than blackjack, craps, or baccarat. And unlike those games, there's no strategy or skill involved. You place your bets and hope. The outcome is completely random, and the odds are heavily against you. What makes roulette particularly problematic is how the table layout creates an illusion of options and strategy. You can bet on single numbers, groups of numbers, colors, odd or even, dozens, columns. The variety makes it seem like you can develop a system. Dealers have watched thousands of players try every imaginable betting system on roulette. Martingale, Fibonacci, D'Alembert, betting on hot numbers, betting on cold numbers, tracking patterns. None of it works. The house edge is the same on every spin regardless of what betting system you use. The 5-number bet, which covers 0, 00, 1, 2, and 3, is even worse with a house edge of 7.89%. It's the single worst bet on a standard roulette table, yet dealers observe players making it regularly because it seems like it offers good coverage. One dealer worked roulette for 10 years and shared a story about a man who was convinced he'd discovered a winning system. He'd spent months tracking roulette results at home, analyzing patterns, and developing what he believed was a mathematical approach to beat the game. He came to the casino with $5,000 and a notebook full of calculations. He told the dealer he was going to prove his system worked. The dealer had seen dozens of system players before and knew what was going to happen, but said nothing. Over the course of 8 hours, this man played his system religiously. He varied his bet sizes based on his calculations, moved his bets around the table following his notebook, and seemed confident in his approach. By the end of the 8 hours, he'd lost his entire $5,000. His system had failed completely, exactly as the dealer knew it would. The house edge doesn't care about your system or your calculations. It grinds away regardless. What bothered the dealer most was the look on the man's face when he finally accepted that his system didn't work. He'd spent months developing it, convinced himself it was foolproof, and lost a significant amount of money proving himself wrong. Another pattern dealers observe is players who bet on their lucky numbers repeatedly. They'll bet $25 or $50 on a single number every spin, convinced it's due to hit. The single number bet pays 35 to 1, which sounds great. But with 38 numbers on an American wheel, the true odds are 37 to 1 against you. That 2-number difference might not sound like much, but it's where the house edge comes from. You're being paid 35 when the fair payout should be 37. That gap adds up to a 5.26% edge for the casino. Dealers report watching players lose thousands of dollars betting on their lucky numbers. The number eventually hits, and they win $875 on a $25 bet, and they celebrate like they've beaten the casino. But the dealer knows they've probably lost $3,000 over the past few hours chasing that win. What dealers find most frustrating about roulette is that players could easily play European roulette, which has only a single 0 and a house edge of 2.7%. That's nearly half the edge of American roulette. But many casinos either don't offer European roulette or bury it in a high-limit area. The vast majority of recreational players end up at American 00 wheels, giving the casino twice the edge they need to. And most players don't even know there's a difference. Dealers specifically warn against American roulette because it combines a high house edge with a completely random outcome. There's no strategy, no skill, and no system that can overcome that 5.26% edge. You're just hoping to get lucky while the math works against you. Craps is one of the most exciting games on the casino floor. The energy, the camaraderie, the cheering when someone goes on a hot roll. It feels like a communal experience where everyone wins together. And craps can actually offer some of the best odds in the casino if you stick to the right bets. But dealers reveal that the excitement and complexity of craps is used to funnel players toward proposition bets that have some of the worst house edges in the entire casino. These bets are pushed by the stickman, encouraged by the layout, and celebrated when they win, despite being mathematically terrible. The pass line bet with full odds has a house edge that can get below 0.5% with maximum odds. The don't pass bet is even slightly better. These are great bets, but dealers observe that most recreational players don't stick to these bets. They get seduced by the proposition bets in the middle of the table. The any 7 bet has a house edge of 16.67%. The any craps bet has a house edge of 11.11%. The horn bets have house edges ranging from 11% to 16%. These are catastrophically bad bets, yet dealers watch players make them constantly. The stickman's job is partially to encourage these bets. They'll call out when proposition bets hit, celebrate with players who win them, and use language that makes the bet sound attractive. A new player hears the excitement and thinks these must be good bets. One dealer worked craps for 12 years and shared several stories about how proposition bets drain player bankrolls. One regular player would bet $10 on the pass line and take full odds, which was smart. But then he'd bet $5 on any 7 every single roll. The any 7 bet has a house edge of 16.67%. That $5 bet was costing him around 83 cents in expected value per roll due to the house edge. He was making this bet 60 to 80 times per session, 3 times per week. That single bad bet was probably costing him $150 to $200 per week in expected value, or around $8,000 to $10,000 per year. His pass line bets with odds were smart and kept him in the game, but the any 7 bet was steadily draining away any chance he had of coming out ahead. The dealer tried to subtly discourage this bet by not celebrating when it won, and sometimes suggesting the player save that money for his odds bet. But the player loved the excitement of any 7 hitting and paid 15 to 1. He didn't understand that he was paying for that excitement with terrible odds. Another common pattern dealers observe is players making hardway bets. A hardway is betting that a specific even number will be rolled as doubles before it's rolled easy or before a 7 comes up. These bets have house edges between 9% and 11%, yet they're extremely popular. Players make hardway bets because they stay on the table for multiple rolls, creating ongoing excitement. You cheer for your hardway on every roll. When it hits, everyone celebrates. It feels like a smart bet because it's active for so long. But the math is brutal. That hardway 4 bet with a $10 wager has an expected loss of around $1 every time you make it. Make that bet 20 times in a session, and you've given away $20 in expected value to bets with terrible odds. What troubles dealers most about craps is that it's a game where educated players can get great odds, but the complexity and atmosphere are used to push recreational players toward the worst bets on the casino floor. The stickman's encouragement, the layout design, and the group excitement all funnel money toward proposition bets. One dealer estimated that if every craps player only made pass line and come bets with full odds, the casino would probably remove half the craps tables because they wouldn't be profitable enough. The casino makes most of its craps profit from players who don't understand which bets are good and which are terrible. Dealers specifically warn that while craps can offer great odds, the proposition bets in the middle of the table are some of the worst bets in the casino. If you're going to play craps, stick to pass, don't pass, come, and don't come with maximum odds. Ignore everything the stickman says about the middle bets. The Big Six wheel, also called the Wheel of Fortune or Money Wheel, looks like harmless fun. It's a giant vertical wheel with different denominations marked on segments. You bet on which denomination the wheel will stop on, the dealer spins it, and you either win or lose. It seems simple and end-to-end and entertaining. But dealers reveal that the Big Six wheel has the worst house edge of any standard table game in the casino, ranging from 11% to 24% depending on which bet you make. It's an absolute money pit that's designed to attract casual players who don't know any better. The wheel typically has 54 segments with different denominations, lots of $1 and $2 segments, fewer $5 segments, even fewer $10 and $20 segments, and usually 2 special segments for 40 to 1 or 45 to 1 payouts. If you bet on the $1 segment and win, you get paid 1 to 1. Your $5 bet wins $5. But there aren't equal numbers of each denomination on the wheel. There might be 24 $1 segments out of 54 total, which means you have a 24 in 54 chance of winning. That 24 in 54 chance equals 44.4%. So you're winning 44.4% of the time and getting paid even money. The fair payout should be closer to 1.25 to 1 based on the odds, but you're only getting 1 to 1. That difference gives the casino a house edge of over 11% on this bet. The higher denomination bets are even worse. The 40 to 1 and 45 to 1 special bets typically have house edges around 20% to 24%. These are some of the worst odds you'll find anywhere in the casino. Dealers report that the Big Six wheel primarily attracts 3 types of players: tourists who don't know any better, drunk people who are attracted to the simplicity, and people waiting for a seat at other games who waste money spinning the wheel. One dealer worked near the Big Six wheel for 5 years and watched it drain money from unsuspecting players constantly. The wheel was positioned near the casino entrance where tourists would see it first. The bright colors and simple concept made it look fun and accessible. This dealer watched countless tourists stop at the wheel, pull out $20 or $40, and lose it all in a matter of minutes. The wheel spins quickly, so players can easily go through 10 to 15 bets in 5 minutes. At 20% house edge, that money disappears fast. One incident stood out to this dealer. A family with 2 teenage kids stopped at the wheel. The parents gave each kid $20 and let them bet on the wheel as a fun activity. The kids were excited, betting on the colorful segments and cheering when the wheel spun. In about 10 minutes, both kids had lost their entire $20. The parents thought it was harmless entertainment, like playing carnival games. But the dealer knew those kids had just been exposed to some of the worst gambling odds in the casino disguised as family-friendly fun. What makes the Big Six wheel particularly problematic is that it's often placed in high-traffic areas where inexperienced gamblers will see it. It looks inviting and simple. There's no intimidating table layout, no rules to learn, no other players to compete with. Just spin the wheel and hope. This simplicity is exactly what makes it dangerous. Players don't realize they're making bets with house edges of 11% to 24%. They think they're just having fun spinning a colorful wheel. Meanwhile, the casino is extracting money at a rate that would be illegal in most other contexts. Dealers also report that drunk players are particularly vulnerable to the Big Six wheel. Late at night, intoxicated people stumble past the wheel and think it looks like fun. They'll dump $50 or $100 into it without any awareness of the odds. The casino makes significant money from drunk Big Six wheel play. Some dealers have stated they feel uncomfortable working the Big Six wheel because it feels like taking advantage of people who don't understand what they're doing. One dealer said it felt like legal robbery because the odds are so bad and the game specifically targets unsuspecting players. Industry insiders specifically warn that the Big Six wheel should be avoided at all costs. The house edge is inexcusably high. The game offers no entertainment value beyond watching a wheel spin, and it's deliberately positioned to attract inexperienced gamblers who don't know they're making terrible bets. If you want to spin something for fun, go to an arcade. At least there, you know you're paying for entertainment and you might win a stuffed animal. The Big Six wheel offers worse odds than almost any other game in the casino and provides nothing in return except the illusion of simple fun. So now you know all 8 table games that casino insiders warn against. The common thread running through all of them is that they use psychology, atmosphere, and design to mask terrible mathematics. The friendly dealers, exciting moments, and occasional wins create an experience that distracts from the steady drain on your bankroll. Every dealer who came forward emphasized the same basic truth. The casino is a business designed to make money, and these games are the tools they use to do it most efficiently. The colorful felt, the social atmosphere, and the thrill of gambling are all carefully crafted to keep you playing while the house edge works against you. If you choose to gamble, stick to games with the lowest house edge. Blackjack with basic strategy, baccarat banker bet, craps. Pass line with odds. Set strict limits, understand you're paying for entertainment, and never chase losses. And whatever you do, avoid the 8 games on this list. Subscribe for more insider casino information that could save you thousands. The casino industry doesn't want this information spread, but players deserve to know what they're really up against.